know music's a good time, right? We all have that song that comes on and you're like, ooh, that's my groove. Music's fun. There's no doubt about that. But music is so much more than that. Music has a profound impact on our lives and our communities. It can be social and bring us together. It can act as a universal language and help us articulate our thoughts and emotions when we're at a loss for words. It can provide healing, support us in times of need, helps to build culture, and tell the stories of the past. I want to talk about the ways that music supports us and how we can support one another through music. My name is Jessica Tomasin, and I wouldn't call myself a musician. That might have something to do with the fact that my mother told me from a very young age that I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, which is fine, because it didn't stop me from being infatuated with music from a very young age, especially with music and film. I became a Cat Stevens fan from the moment I heard his voice in the movie Harold and Maude, which today is still one of my favorite movies because of that soundtrack. And the first time I saw Urban Cowboy, I went to my mom and I begged her, please don't let my brother grow up to be a cowboy, which was not a concern of hers because we grew up in Detroit. And then the first time I heard Solomon Burke and Otis Redding in the movie Dirty Dancing, I felt like I knew what it was like to be in love. And I was 8. I didn't know anything about being in love. And then I had my first experience creating music when I was 16, and I got to sing backup on a hip-hop track in a studio in Detroit. And now flash forward 25 years later, and I've had a myriad of jobs in the music business. I've actually run a studio for the last 12 years. I produce festivals and events. I've managed bands. I have a publishing company, and I've even started a music nonprofit. Music is my life. Music is my passion, but it's also my career. I make 100% of my income from the music business. It's not called the Music Fun Time Party Hour, people. It's called the music business, and it's called that for a reason. The music industry supports 1.9 million American jobs, and the US industry accounts for 1/3 of the global market. So music is absolutely an economic driver. Now, I'm fortunate that this is my career, but it's really my passion. And I wanted to create an event that celebrated the impact that music and other art forms can have on us. And I finally was able to do that this year with an event called Connect Beyond the Page. So I brought together musicians, filmmakers, authors, journalists, activists, nonprofits, all connecting and telling stories about how art can inspire and influence us. And we had performances. This was a concert of songs inspired by social justice. We had panels, workshops, screenings, and so many amazing things came out of this. There's a lot of friendships that were formed. There's collaborations that are continuing to happen already. And one of the most amazing things for me was that I was able to infuse a bunch of money into my community personally. So from one 3-day weekend, I spent $12,000 on venues. I put just over $4,000 into the pockets of local musicians. And I spent another almost $5,000 on other creative services. I hired a bunch of contract staff and paid just over $4,000 for that. I raised $3,000 for local nonprofits. Another $2,000 went to non-creative businesses, print shops, grocery stores. $1,600 went to restaurants, and $13,000 went to hotels. Not necessarily locally owned, but run by local people who lived in my community. So for one first-year, 3-day event, I was able to infuse almost $45,000 into my community. That's not including the money that was spent by attendees that came and spent money at restaurants, bought merchandise from artists, stayed at a hotel, and things like that. So imagine what this will look like in 3 to 5 years with people coming to town, infusing money, and all coming for the reason that they are inspired to learn more about how art can influence change. So we know that music can invest into our pockets, it helps with our hearts, it helps with our minds. And I'd wanted to do this for quite some time. And every once in a while I would see or hear something that would inspire me to take this from idea to fruition. And that's what happened when I ended up watching this documentary called Alive Inside by Michael Bennett Rosado. Alive Inside explores the relationship with music and how it affects elders with memory loss. The relationship between music and memory is powerful. Think about it. We all have that music that takes us back to a certain point. Maybe it's the song that you heard during your first kiss. Maybe it's a song that helped you get through a breakup. Maybe it's a song that was the beach party weekend that you had with your friends this year. It was the best trip that you've ever had. I know I've had many of those along the lines in my life. One that stands out for me is Tracy Chapman's Fast Car. I loved that album, and when I was 19, I was going through a particularly rough time, and I played that album on repeat. And now 20 years later, when I hear that, it takes me back to that time, and also tends to have the same soothing effect on me. I probably should have listened to it tonight. Now, I watched this documentary, and I was so inspired, and I want to share it with you to show you, to see if you might be inspired in the same way.
How old are you?
How old am I?
Yeah.
I'm 90 years old.
What was life like when you were a little girl?
Oh, God, I've forgotten so much. I've forgotten so much. I'm very sorry.
Oh, it's okay. What have you forgotten?
I've forgotten what I used to do after I became a young lady. I've forgotten so much. I can't remember. I've been here 90 years. And if I could remember, I would tell you, but I can't remember.
I want to try an experiment.
What?
I want you to try and let the music take you back into your memories, to travel back into time. And then we'll stop and you can tell me where it took you.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm. That's Louis Armstrong.
Yes, I want to be in that number. I went to sing.
Wow. Oh, he's singing when the saints go by, marching by. And it takes me back to my school days.
I would like to hit the number.
Mama told us not to go listen to him. We would sneak off at night, bring back pictures from the dance. And I worked in Kings County 9 years, the E-building in Kings County. My birthday, November 20th, 19. I was in the wartime. I was working at Fort Jackson. And my son, on February the 4th, was 69. I didn't know I could talk so much.
It's incredible, right? Hearing one song brought all of these memories, all these wonderful memories back to her. And so I saw this and I wanted to know more. I wanted to be able to do more. So I went online and I looked it up, and Alive Inside has a foundation, and I found out there's a number of ways. Obviously, you can donate money. They can connect you with an elder in your community. You could host a screening. But one of the things that I realized that we can all do is that when you're inspired by something, when it moves you, share it with other people, and maybe it'll move them. And who knows what'll come out of that. So that's what I did. I started telling anybody who would listen about this documentary and about the relationship between music and memory. And I was talking about it one day in the studio to a group of musicians. And we were just having a conversation about how music affects us at all different points of our life, at different ages. And when you're really young, it can help you to develop pre-reading skills and pre-motor abilities. And then when you're a teenager and you're full of emotions and you're very angsty and no one understands you, you can find solace in some song lyrics. And then this, and about how music can help recover memory. And I thought, when I was telling the musicians, wouldn't it be cool if we could be using music as healing in so many other ways? And one of the musicians, Melissa Hyman, told me that she works for an organization called Arts for Life. And she works with kids in the pediatric ward at the hospital using music as a form of therapy. And she told me, I have this idea. I want to get a stethoscope that has a microphone in it. and I want to record the heartbeat of the patients. And I want to use that to create a song that they'll be able to use as part of their healing process. And she asked if I would be interested in being a part of that. And I said, yeah, absolutely. If you can make that happen, I'll see what I can do from my side. And it took a little bit of time. From that was born the Heartbeat Sessions. And so Melissa will record the heartbeat of a kid. Well, a group of musicians will donate their time. I donate studio time. And we bring them in, and we record the song, and we film it, and we give it to the kids and their family. And we've been doing this for about 2 years. And we've done 8 of these projects. And we've actually had a couple kids that have actually written their own songs. And we had this one compassionate, creative young woman who was 11 who wanted to write a song for her mom. She wanted her mom to understand how much she appreciated and loved her for her steadfast support through her treatment. And so she wrote this song. Melissa and a couple other musicians helped her put it together. And we surprised her mom by bringing her in to listen to it after it was recorded. And I want to share that with you too.
You've been there the whole way with me. I know it's hard, but you've been there beside me. We can do it, we can do it. I love you, Mom. These cards make me happy, but you're the one I love. So don't feel sad. We can do it, we can do it. I love you, Mom. You have a lot on your shoulders. You try your best, but you're still sad. You tell me it's alright, but I know it's not. You try your best, but you put on your big girl face. This will all be over before you know it. The best mom anyone could have. That's what I know. Still.
This has been one of the most meaningful things that I've ever done in my life. And I'm fortunate because of my career to have resources like a studio. But the fact of the matter is that you don't have to have that to make an impact on your community through music. There's a number of ways that you can do this. You can donate your time and resources. There's people who come to the sessions and cook us dinner. You can volunteer at a festival. There's plenty of things to do and ways to connect with people. You can find an elder in your community and learn the soundtrack of their life and help them remember all these amazing things from their past and connect with them. If you know a young person who wants to be involved in music, from the performance side to the production side, support them. Let them know that you know about the economic impact, the social, the emotional impact of music, and that it is a real job, and tell them to go for it. The other thing that you can do is you can go out and see live music, support live music, connect with your community that way. If you're sitting in a room with people and you already have a common bond with them for something like music, maybe you have something else in common. And the other thing is when you're inspired by something, when you're so moved by it, if you see or hear something, share it. Wouldn't it be great if our social media was flooded with things that inspired us instead of things that divided us? Basically, what I'm telling you to do is go out and have a good time, people, because your community depends on it. Thank you.